Hey, it's Sparky, Fifer, 1250 a.m. The Fan. How are y'all doing here on a beautiful day? Well, hopefully it's a beautiful day whenever you're listening to this Spare Time Bowling Show podcast. Download it on your Odyssey app, wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Streaming it live right now on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page as well. And it's myself, it's Dwight Albrecht, the Spare Time Pro Shop. You can follow him on Twitter at Dewey300. Our guy Phil Brylow over there, $2 Phil. You can follow him at Brew City Bowling. And I'll be honest, Lennie Boresch, are you active on Twitter, the PBA Hall of Famer, Lennie Boresch Jr.? Where can people follow you on Twitter, and how active really are you at this point?
I'm on Twitter, but I'm not really active on Twitter. More of a Facebook guy, to be honest with you. But, I do check in on it a little bit, but most of the time if I post, it's more on Facebook. So
follow Lennie Boresch Jr. on Facebook, and you can see what Lennie Boresch Jr. Is posting there. We were just having a conversation prior to starting this podcast, and I would like to do it in the podcast because I think it's something at some point that people are going to have to start thinking about here. And it's not going to be it's not going to be Dwight and Lennie because they're going to be done. But what are the rest of us going to do? Look, Lennie Boresch Jr. has his own pro shop at Castle Lanes down in Racine. Beautiful house down in Racine. They just do a great job down there. Phil Onko, the old owner, I was friends with him for a number of years. Love me some Phil. And Dwight obviously is at New Berlin Bowl in New Berlin. And this is the thing. Dwight's not getting any younger. Lennie Boresch isn't getting any younger. How many pro shops are we talking about left here in the Milwaukee area, guys? 4, 5?
Yeah, about that.
About 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, are there any young up-and-comers that we know about that are going to do this? Because if not, in this area, we're going to have some problems here. We don't have an EJ Tackett running a pro shop, a young PBA bowler that's running his own pro shop on the side with his family or whatever that can kind of take this over and go. I'm concerned when my 7-year-old is, 25, 27, that there's not going to be anywhere for him to go, Lennie.
Well, basically, the way it's looking, you're just going to have to put 2 holes in the ball, and you don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's actually a point there. I mean, as Dwight knows, our job has gotten a little easier. I mean, with that. But you still got to know where to put the 2 holes. That's the key.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the big key, especially on those guys. As Dwight knows, the tracks travel all over the place. You just don't know where it's. No 2 are the same. It's really bizarre on that, but. Yeah, you're right, Spark. I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, being self-employed and doing what I love to do and chasing this dream for long, I plan on sticking around a little longer as long as the health can do it, or is some capacity part-time or whatever. I'd like to get more out of it and do more lessons or more online stuff.
Sure.
And just spread some knowledge and take a little pressure off the arm, because the arm is getting tired from drilling balls all these years. I've had numerous problems with my shoulder, and you'd be surprised how it catches up to you when you get older. But yeah, so it's looking for, like we were talking earlier, just getting the right person and maybe to help me out would be nice eventually. And but yeah, it's a tough gig, I mean, especially around our area because it's seasonal, and it has gotten busier in the summers the last few years, and unfortunately, I'm not around much in the summer. But as Dwight can probably attest to it, definitely there's been a new wave of young bowlers, and it's amazing. I got this group of kids that come in, and I haven't really been there. Every time I show up, they buy a ball, and they're maybe average 140, they 2 fingers, in their 20s. You've seen a lot of that since COVID, so maybe that's a good sign for the future, so. But yeah, we'll see how the future goes for us.
We have a couple guys in town that are in their mid 40s, so that gives them a little bit more longevity. Sure. I also have a couple customers that are interested in learning the craft. Could be interested in buying me out when I do.
Oh, good for you, really.
When I do retire, I think there's always going to be someone that steps up, but they don't have any experience. So like one of our competitors, John Magna, he sold his pro shop a couple of years ago to another group. He stuck around for a year or so to train these guys.
Nice.
So it would probably be a similar situation, I would assume, for both Lennie and I. But yeah, they're definitely not coming out of the woodwork that want to learn how to do it. And he hit it right on the head. I mean, I 9 months a year, I know Lennie's going to say the same thing. We're 70 hours a week. when you start to get into your 60s, and I had shoulder surgery also, and the doctors blamed it on all the years of drilling bowling balls. It does take its toll because it's that repetitive motion all day long.
Yeah.
How much do you guys lift weights?
Well, I lift the 15-pound bowling ball a couple
No,
times a day.
no. That's not what I mean, you dork. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean
It is a form of exercise.
No, because this is my thing. Because I'm just
Right.
thinking about this. Because I mean, if you look at golfers and even pro bowlers now, there is a whole regimen that they go through.
Yeah.
Physically, and if shoulders are a thing with guys that are doing bowling balls, like you both are saying, I'm sure some physical fitness trainer somewhere could probably put together a program to help strengthen that shoulder that you could do,
Definitely.
2, 3, 4 days a week, whatever. And it doesn't have to be go to the gym for 2 hours, but go to the gym and knock out a half hour, 45 minutes to continue to strengthen that. Your back, I'm sure, also becomes an issue over the course of time.
Yes.
And I would assume that would help if, these younger people are listening like, oh, the hell with that. I'm not going to ruin my shoulder. But I would assume, Lennie, that there probably is a way to kind of.
I lost you there, Sparky. I didn't hear your last part. You there? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying, I'm sure there's a way to do it where, through physical fitness and so forth for these guys in their 20s or 30s that are thinking about doing this, to where you can kind of protect that shoulder a little bit more if you are working out with a trainer on the side a couple of days.
There's no doubt. I'm sure there's something there that would definitely help. I know my situation, it's kind of like bone on bone. And you say it could go in there and make it feel better. It only hurts when I'm really busy doing it, and then when I'm bowling and doing it, it kind of really hurts, when they overlap them part of that deal for me. But you said they can go in there, but it's like a 12-week recovery, well, I ain't got 12 weeks and I use my shoulder, so I'm just trying to ride this out as long as I can.
Right.
And lately it's been pretty good. So, it's just, it is what it is. But yeah, you're right. There's definitely probably something.
Dwight's got some spare time. He can come down and knock out a couple hours a day for you, Lennie. Hey, Dwight will go down there a couple hours a day. He's got all kinds of spare time.
I'm sure he's got plenty to do.
Motorcycle ride down to race seat and knock out a couple.
See, Dwight does it right. He gives lessons. I hear a lot of good things about he does a lot of lessons and stuff like that. And that's really.
Lennie, we'll see. My 7-year-old has his first lesson with Dwight coming up on the 13th. We'll see how good he is. I'll get back to you on that.
I learn how to teach two-handed bowling.
I'm guessing you're at home. Oh,
Dwight and I were just talking about this last week. Two-handed or single-handed. He's small for 7, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna let Dwight do what he wants to do. I'm gonna trust Dwight on this. I've never seen Dwight two-hand bowl before, but it'll be fun.
I'd pay to see that once. I'd pay to see it one time.
I don't think his back could handle it.
Well, no, just see if he can get enough ball speed to keep it on the lane. He'll have the revs. He just won't have the ball speed.
When I was mechanic with the red carpet chain in the 70s, and we would test the lanes for oiling, we would pick out a house ball, and we would have our tennis shoes on, of course, just to test the lanes, and we would palm the ball, no thumb it back then, and we had no idea, well, of course, what we were doing, and never thought it would turn into what it is today.
Right. Could have been revolutionary.
Right.
So it looks like you're at home today. PBA 50 Tours in Virginia this week. Hasn't been the spectacular season on the 50 Tour. For you just taking a week off to regroup, or?
Yeah, I got some medical issues going on, so I wasn't planning on going to Morgantown in the first place, but and then I got to go follow up with the doctor on everything's okay, but I got to follow up on a doctor on Thursday. So I figured, I'm just going to take this week off and get ready. But yeah, overall it's been a pretty good year. Start out really good. Yeah. The World Series was okay. I mean, overall I finished 12th or 11th so that was okay. But 2 events I lost a lot of ground and stuff like that. But so yeah, just trying to get a little more healthy and try to finish up strong. But overall I can't complain. It's monetary wise, it's been a really good year. As far as money, I had a couple of good finishes and stuff like that. But let a couple get away that really kind of a bummer. I've let a few get away in the past, but it's just a shot here or there, a bad break, or just a stupid shot or whatever. But yeah, I can't complain overall. I guess it's my age, I never expected to be still competitive somewhat, and the way these guys are killing them out here this year, though, man, the few guys have just been dominating so much, and a lot of new winners, and it's been a kind of a crazy year.
Yeah, Lennie had one of the best wins I've ever seen this year. Was the PBA regional event down in Carpentersville, Illinois, back in March. He was actually packed up and in the car. He thought he missed the cut.
What?
For match play. He was packed up. He thought he was done. Thought he missed the cut, and he was the number 8 guy for match play. He got through match play. He was number 4 for the step ladder, and then he ran the step ladder.
Yeah,
to win the tournament.
Thought I missed
pretty
it.
cool.
I packed my stuff in the car, and I came back in to get my check, and I was okay because I finished pretty good to get that check, and I came back in. So you're the last spot. I go, what?
Yeah.
So I went in the car and I grabbed a different ball out and came out and just maybe I should try this ball. And man, it was probably one of my best 4 or 5 games of bowling in the situation, But it was pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you never know. You never
That has happened to me also for
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that happened to me in city tournaments, especially like City Team Classic. Oh, we missed a cut. Let's pack our stuff up and start walking. Oh, by the way, guys, you guys made it. So I can relate with that. That's happened to me also. Lennie.
I'm sorry, Dwight. I lost the audio. I don't know if it's me or you guys or.
I don't know. Do you have
I
us?
hear him now. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Maybe he's having issues hearing us. Can you hear us, Lennie?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, Dwight was just asking what's next for you now with the LBC after your win at the LBC. What's next?
Well, I'm leaving Friday for Florida for the 3 stops in Florida. And then the LBC, yeah, I haven't got many details on that yet. Maybe Phil can help me out with that. But that's pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited about that. Just to win that part in Milwaukee was pretty exciting. So I don't know what really coming about on this next one. I hope I don't go out there throw one ball and I'm done.
That's the bad part because it's that clash format. So there's 12 bowlers, and the first time everybody gets up, throws one ball, and it's the low count that's out, and it just keeps going every round until it's down to the last 2, and then whoever's got the highest count or whatever it takes to take home the 60 grand. I mean, it's 60 grand on top. I think it's 2,000 or 3,000 for if you're the first one out, but it's $60,000 on top.
This is what I don't get. And now again, I'm going to get on the PBA, but it's 60 grand on a damn one lucky shot ball type deal over and over again. Like if there's 12 guys, okay, fine. There's 12 guys. Well, then why not just start the show and go, we're going to do this goofy format until we get to 4, and then we're bowling the traditional step ladder the rest of the way out type deal. And we're just going to seed them that way based on score, total score, whatever it was from the LBC. And most pins, that's of the 4 guys that are left, you're the one seed second most pins from the LBC. You're second, you're third, you're fourth. And then have them bowl the normal game. 60 grand on that? Yeah. I mean, oh my God.
I'm sure
just give them some scratch off tickets and see how they do.
I'm sure it's probably a TV.
That's because of the handicap bowlers and the variety of bowlers. Maybe it just figured that way everybody's got a chance. I'm guessing, but
I mean, they did it last year with the All-Stars. They took the one guy off of each of the PBA league teams in Portland that had, was the MVP or whatever. I forgot what the qualifications were, but then Jake Peters won that class shootout, and Jake's in it again this year because he won the pro division the last day of the tournament.
So this LBC thing is in Portland?
In Portland.
Have you been to Bowling Heaven, Lennie Boresch Jr.? Have you been there before?
No, I just heard expect to spend a lot of money when I'm out there. I heard
Bowling Heaven is amazing.
I heard it's amazing.
It's good food.
So I've heard it's pretty amazing. So I don't care what it costs, whatever. But so my wife plans to come with me, and my son Jake's thinking about coming. So we'll see. Maybe my daughter. Who knows? Make a trip out.
Maybe me. I'll hop in the car too if you're driving. Hey, what's your favorite place to bowl in the country? Being a PBA Hall of Famer, you've bowled all over the country. Where's your favorite place to bowl outside of Castle Lanes, where your pro shop is in Racine, obviously?
Well, I'd be stupid if I didn't say the Villages, Florida. Unfortunately, they put brand new lanes in, so I actually thought about skipping it. Looking at the schedule, the schedule was so long this year. It really was, and it's late in the year. It's horrible for me to be going these next 3 tournaments, but I'm in that position at 61 years old, and the Tournament of Champions is the last one, which is you don't want to miss that one. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be. I'm killing myself going to this. but I gotta go. I should have bowled the last 2 tournaments and missed the last major maybe, but it's kind of like, I just had this health issue come up, and so yeah, and I've had nursing a bad hip all year, which is amazing. I bowled that good, so yeah, a couple weeks here was good to take off, but probably I'd have to say the Villages, so I got to go back. They're in South Point Plaza. I've had really good luck in. I've heard they're putting new lanes in there too, so. Yep.
God, they're putting new lanes in. I remember when I was there the first year after they built the thing. It's already time for new lanes.
Yeah, there's so much lineage in that center that the lanes, even though synthetic, they track out. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Ron Moore told me. He said they were putting new.
I've heard that after the senior, after that super senior shootout in November. I heard they got a month or so to get everything turned over before the PBA is back out there for the RPI in early January. So I heard that's when it's going to happen.
I'm assuming it's just the 60 tournament lanes they're replacing, correct? Because there's another 60 on another floor.
Right. It's the plaza. I've heard. I haven't heard anything about the regular bowling center inside the casino, but I've heard it's the plaza.
When my daughter and I were out there, Lenny, in May for her national tournament, the only thing I saw was that one lane played completely different than the other, and that took her for a loop for a while. The pairs are not very consistent from pair to pair, but man, I thought they looked pretty good to me. I wish I was pulling on them,
Yeah, it's there's some pairs in there that are really hard. Phil knows.
She caught one of them.
What would it be? The high side, the low end of the high side. There's a couple pairs.
Right. Yep. 31 through 36 is pretty brutal.
Yeah, there's definitely, but it's them 2 places probably. Sparky would be the top of the list, a lot of success.
Yeah, I loved going out to South Point for World Series of Bowling back in the day when they would tape shows and then playing back. Yeah. Can you believe where we are right now as a tour with this Fox contract and how many live events they're having on? And we're back on over-the-air TV again. And again, when we always praise Tom Clark for the job he's done getting us to where we're at now, but it really is crazy. If you think back 10, 15 years ago where this tour was to where it is now, it is night and day, Lenny.
Yeah, it's pretty special. I think, Tom worked hard. I mean, Tom's done a lot. Took a lot of heat, and over the years, I'm sure it's not the easiest job in the world, but I've loved what he's done. I mean, look at what we have. I mean, that's pretty exciting for these younger guys. They got, and I understand they got to promote the younger people, not us old guys. I mean, I get that part of it, and because you always hear people, oh, we need seniors on there, but the kids are what needs to be promoted to promote the game of bowling. So I understand all that, but yeah, I think he's done a great job with this Fox deal and getting all these guys, paid some decent money now and some pretty nice prize funds. Unfortunately, a lot of them still have to have another side gig, because, there really isn't a lot of guys making a lot of money. I mean, the ones that are doing well, and it's kind of nice too. The ball contracts, I think, have kind of got back up a little bit. So I'm sure a few of the guys are getting paid that way.
Hold on, Lenny. Give me an idea. Give me an idea of what a ball contract is paying. What's the average dollar figure? Because I have no idea.
I don't think they get paid a ton of money. I'm sure the elite do, the Tackett's, the Belmos and stuff. But I mean, I know a lot of guys might get, I don't know. I'm guessing maybe $500 to $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month, maybe depending who you are or what you've done. A lot of it's incentive based, probably. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think everybody's different. Everybody gets a different standard. It's yeah. But back in the day, I can remember like I want to say Dave Traber, like that in that group there when he was there, they were probably, back in them days getting, 16, 20 grand a year, nice. I would think was a minimum kind of probably, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's the same nowadays for a lot of these guys that are national signed players, but I'm sure some of them get more, obviously.
But even the incentives on TV aren't even close to what they used to be. I mean, back in the day, 80s and 90s, somebody can make, like you said, a Dave Traber can make TV if he's wearing the right shirt, using the right ball and the right wrist thing. He might be making more in incentives than he was in prize money that day. And nowadays, a guy wins a ball of the tournament, he might get $2,500. Might, if it's a major kind of thing. So
I mean, our storm incentives are same across the board for everybody, whether you're a regional player or you're whatever, maybe it's different for the upper guys, but basically it's there. If you make national TV and you do this, majors pay more. So it's pretty decent. I mean, even on the senior, like for me, if I win, it's a nice little extra bonus. I mean, not retire. I can't retire.
This is what I don't get though.
Huh?
This is what I don't understand though. So when you guys, the era that you're talking about, I know Traber, but I don't know the time frame which you all are talking about. So is that back when it was like ABC Wild World of Sports days, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's right. So that's over the air TV too. So why wouldn't those that money, that incentive money that you're talking about, why wouldn't that have gone up once you landed the Fox deal and have even more exposure than you did before? Wouldn't that make sense that they would go hand in hand? Or as a company, you just say, well, I mean, that's great for us, but we're not changing anything for you. We're just going to keep doing what we do.
I think the incentives are pretty decent nowadays. If they make Fox TV, if we make, Bold TV, they're not as good. It's
right,
kind of based on what you make. But yeah, I mean, I know for us, they're not bad if they do well. I just know back in the day, like Phil was saying, like Dale Traber, he told me he got, what did he get? He threw the quantum ball on TV and got like $30,000 and got more for using the ball than he did for the place he finished. I might say he got 20-some thousand for second back then or whatever, but it was real close. Right. It was almost the same, give or take. But yeah, I mean, there was big incentives back in the day. Them guys did pretty well. Bob Learn, I room with Bobby Learn a lot, and he told me there's a couple of years he made over 300,000 out on tour, and between incentives.
With the incentives,
yeah, and bowling well, and they had some pretty good paydays. So yeah, and it's kind of getting back to that, and I think that's really a good sign. I know it's having a national TV, but you got to remember back then too, we had 35 tournaments a year. They had more exposure. They had a summer tour, fall tour. Now what do they got, Phil? Maybe 16?
A dozen, 15 shows. And then on top of it, you don't have as many league bowlers as you did back in the day. Nowadays, back in the day, it was win on Saturday, and the pro shop guys, especially if it was a new ball, they'd have people lined up out the door Monday morning waiting to get it drilled.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
But
that's got a lot to do with
it. But that's how it was with NASCAR too. That's why Ford and Chevy and all those guys got mad, because back in the day, if Dale Earnhardt was driving a certain kind of Chevy or whatever else, then that would be the one that was selling more at the dealerships. And that all of a sudden went away as well, Lenny.
Yeah, sure. I mean, plus talking about like with incentives and stuff like that, but I will just change the subject to here, but talking about, like we were talking 15, 16 tournaments a year for these guys. But don't forget, these guys bowl like every other during the offseason. They bowl what, Phil, like the Snowman tournament. They bowl the New Mexico,
all the regionals.
They're making a lot of money on the side. You take guys like Darren Tang and guys like, they bowl everything. They don't miss. So some of them make more money than they actually made on the tour. Maybe bowling, just on the side. So I mean, some of it's a full-time deal, but some of them got pro shops or do lessons, or they do exhibitions or coaching clinics. You see Sean Rash always posting. He's got 3-4 people doing a clinic.
Yep.
Bob Learn, he's a hustle bustler, man. He does a lot of stuff for the military, does clinics, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of ways to make money out there in the bowling world. So a lot of guys are doing pretty good. They, even when they're off the lanes, but yeah. So I mean, it's all good. Exposure's good.
My memory of growing up and when the pros were in town at Brylow was there was actually a behind lane 48 in the hallway. They had a commission board. And so if a pro used a certain ball and got on TV, they showed what that commission was going to be. Yeah. I heard stories that the guys would used to take the metal plates out of the wrist devices, Dick Weber wrist device, and get paid $500 for a show for wearing the glove on TV. These are just things that we heard when they were in town. The other thing too that you guys are kind of missing on is back then in the 70s and 80s, our local memberships, we had 40 to 50,000 members in our local association. We're lucky if we have 4,000 or 5,000 today. So even though that the sport is starting to grow, our league bowling numbers are still, for at least sanctioned bowlers, are quite down. So you got to also remember too, a lot of people that do bowl, couples leagues in particular, they typically don't sanction, so that affects the numbers also. Yeah. It's a great trend to see the direction it's going, but it's definitely not what it was in the 70s and 80s.
No, I think in like 83 is when it peaked. I remember there was like 7 million league bowlers sanctioned, and now I think it's like probably 1 or 2 or whatever. But
just over 1 million. Yeah.
Well, tell me this. Riddle me this. I haven't bowled on a league since you and I bowled on a league together, Dwight.
06.
Right. So it's been a long time. Riddle me this. What do I get if I'm 23, 24 by being sanctioned or non-sanctioned as a league bowler? Right. So if I bowl with my girlfriend, my buddy and his girlfriend, and we're not sanctioned, what am I missing out on by not being on a sanctioned men's league or something like that? I mean, is there a big enough nugget out there to draw me in to go bowl on a men's league because it's sanctioned?
If you bowl tournaments, it's basically a tournament membership.
It's average verification.
Yeah,
right.
Basically a tournament membership nowadays.
These 20-something-year-olds are just going out there to have fun, have a couple of beverages, have the cool new bowling ball like Lenny was talking about, and just go out there and party and have a good time, man. What'd you say, Lenny?
There was 6 of them by me bowling yesterday. Go once a week and meet up, and they go bowl and have a pitcher of beer and a pizza or whatever,
Yeah.
And they just meet, and there's a bunch of older guys that do that a lot, and they don't want to commit to the league. And fortunately they're still buying good equipment, because it's amazes me that Dwight sees it too. They want to say, a lot of them throw it good, even though they never bowled a league in their life. It's crazy.
Right.
But, maybe eventually they'll get into it, try to push them on them, but a lot of them don't want to commit to the long season.
Right. There it is. Yeah. It's just average verification. And then now the 300 ring, which is your, the highest point you can get for a league bowler, is now once in a lifetime. I mean, I know Lenny remembers maybe getting 6 or 7 reigns a year for 300, 299, 298, 800. And now they have turned that into a once in a lifetime, our governing body. So 1 300 reign for once in a lifetime, 1 800 reign series for once in a lifetime. So not a lot of incentive for the league bowler to sanction. What are you getting for that money? And that money keeps going up every year too.
And I think that's one good thing about the PBA's league bowler certification program.
Right, the awards.
It's getting out beyond Bolero houses. All the leagues at Bayside Bowl aren't USBC certified. They're PBA LBC certified. It's part of your league benefit. You're not paying anything for it. You get the average verification still. You get the even though they're not, you don't get a ring, you get digital awards, that type of thing for your scores that you shoot. And it's just included. It's free. There's no cost to you. So that's the incentive that Bolero's trying to use to not just in their centers, but try to get other centers to go like, hey, you need average verification? Bang, here it is. We got your averages for the entire season because everything that they do goes to a central database.
Wait a second. Kind of Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So I get a ring if I shoot 300. One ring only.
USBC.
Only one, right?
Yeah.
800, I get something, whatever.
One ring.
PBA, you say they get digital benefits? What does that mean?
Oh, they can print out certificates or they get things from pro bowlers, but there's no cost to them on it. I know.
Well, of course there's no cost. You ain't get nothing. Right. I mean, there's nothing physical.
You still get average verification. You didn't need to be USBC certified to bowl that tournament at Bolero Wauwatosa this year. If you had a Bolero league average and you were LBC certified, you could use that in the tournament.
I'll tell you what they should do. And people are going to cringe and like, you're out of your mind. It's too costly. But if you want to draw them away from USBC, or if USBC wants to keep them, somebody should get into bed with the bowling manufacturers, and they should say, you get a free bowling ball if you bowl 300. Now, that would be something that would start to get people going, right? Because now, screw the ring. I get a free bowling ball from Brunswick. Okay, maybe I'm a storm bowler.
Yep.
Fine, but if Brunswick's the one that does it, all right, I'll try Brunswick. And what happens? Oh, damn, this is really nice. I may buy another Brunswick ball now. Right. And now all of a sudden it's starting to build on that other side. I think there's a lot of incentive. Now, again, if you've got like pro bowlers like Lenny Bowling League and he's bowling like 10 of them, he's going to get a bunch of free bowling balls. And I understand that's the risk. But now levels. At least if I'm 20-something, if I shoot 300, man, I get a free bowling ball. That's, $150, whatever the case may be.
Even better yet, how about LBC and PBA also having LBC pro shops where that bowler can bring their bowling ball into an LBC pro shop and give them a gift certificate for the drilling charge.
Right. And you could also take it another step further. If it's PBA league, Give them a discount on merchandise on the website. Give them a discount on tickets if they go to a PBA event, right? It's 25% off ticket prices. It's 20% off of merchandise. Who cares if you're not making as much on the shirts? There's going to be more people wearing the shirts that are out on the lanes, wearing the Rash shirts or the Belmonte shirts or whatever. I want to go back. I don't know if you were there that night or whatever, Lenny, but we had a whole big thing on our station on 1250 when Belmonte was coming to town to go to Castle Lanes and be a part of that. And Phil came on and talked about just what an incredible experience it was. He got on the microphone and the whole deal. Talk about what that was like building to that point as far as what people were saying, and then what it was like during it and after it as far as people getting to meet, at that point, probably the best bowler on tour in Belmonte.
That was very, very special. I mean, it was amazing how many people came from all over just to meet him, and this is, you figure what he's done since that. He's probably won, I don't know, half his majors since that, I would think, right? Because that was what,
at least,
Oh,
2014.
14? It was
2014.
Yeah, I mean,
almost 10 years ago.
Amazing with the people and the build up that Phil Anko, Phil's Phil, he promoted the heck out of it. But it was just I never seen so many two-handed kids in my life, bowling, and he spent time with everyone. I mean, there were some from Minnesota, Iowa that came, and he was just a pleasure to be there. I think he really enjoyed it too. He wasn't going to bowl, and then he got out and he bowled a little bit, but he wasn't going to bowl. He was scared to come here. He was a little nervous because he just just was worried about, when you're from out of the country and you go to different cities, and I heard he was according to my Storm guy, he was a little nervous about coming, but I think after he was here, it was he really enjoyed it and stuff.
Saw the ceiling tiles at Castle Lanes. I'm not going to see that anywhere else in the world. I promise you that.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Gary Hulsenberg from Storm, every time he's in the area, he comes and visits me, and he just wants to visit Castle Lanes, and he brought Danielle McEwen up there. He's brought a few different pros in there, and they just love it. And they treat the Castle. Well, now Dan Gannett, they still have a pretty good relationship with them with some award, stuff that they'll donate and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, you had a ton of pros before the World Series of Bowling this year down there that were practicing. You guys were putting the patterns out for them and everything to work on because kind of similar lane surfaces. And
last couple of years, I haven't done it the last couple of years. I hired a couple, but I helped ball rep a little bit on the regular tour. So I got to know a lot of the guys, and we had that break a couple of years ago between the TOC and the World Series. And so I got in the group chat, I'm still in it. So I'm still part of it, but I said, hey, you guys want to come practice? I'll put out some patterns for you guys. Lo and behold, I mean, it ended up being like, oh my God, I didn't know if anybody was going to show up. And a lot of the international guys were there, and we fed them, and they could go eat, and and stuff like that. And because they had nowhere to go, they can't go back home, But a lot of the guys showed up. Brad,
I know Jesper loved it.
Okay, now hold on a second. Now, I didn't know anything about this. B, and we had Dan on, and I think he's going to be great for the area for bowling because the dude's a passionate bowling dude, right?
Yeah.
But if it would have been me, knowing that, okay, there's a possibility some of these guys may come, I'm taking pictures, I'm framing them, I'm putting them on the wall,
right?
I'm doing the whole thing, showing everybody when they come into Castle Lanes, these are all the guys that have bowled here.
You know what I did? I purposely we didn't promote it. I didn't say, hey, they're all coming. For one, I didn't know how many were going to show up. And two, I wanted to let them practice, and then I don't want to be a zoo there. And, maybe I was wrong doing that, but Phil was in Florida at the time last year when more of them had showed up because of that small window between the tournaments. And the word got out, and then all of a sudden it was funny. All of a sudden people were showing up. But the word got out because it got on Facebook and, stuff like that. But, they, I just want to be able to let them come practice, not have to,
right.
You get some practice in, they'll get enough of the visiting people up there, in Milwaukee. Yeah. And it worked out pretty good. And then word got out. But this year they were looking, a lot of people are looking, are they coming? And a few of them did. We had a pretty good group this year too. So we'll see what next year brings. If
I was watching the Facebook page for Castle. Yep.
That's the other thing though. So if you have PBA leagues, let's say you have PBA leagues. Okay, Brylow, you said has them, right? That's just, or is Brylow just doing it standard? All their leagues are PBA sanctioned. Is that what they've done? Okay.
Across the board. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So put Brylow aside. Now let's say New Berlin decides, okay, we're going to have some PBA leagues. Castle says we're going to have some PBA leagues. It would be cool if part of the deal is with the bowling center says, look, if you have PBA leagues in your house, we'll send, I don't know, a couple of bowlers down or wherever the case may be, do an autograph signing, come hang out like you did. Now, I'm not promising you're getting Belmonte, but we'll send a couple of bowlers in the top 20, let's say, of the money rankings when the season is done in the wintertime. We'll send a couple guys down there to come hang out for a night or an afternoon if people want to come hang out and whatever. I think that would be another incentive for these guys to get in PBA league. Hey, man, get in PBA league and get a chance to meet a couple PBA bowlers on this date of this month or whatever. There's so much the PBA can do to incentivize everybody to kind of switch over and really make a go of this thing.
And I know they're working at, because in the last couple of years, their league coordinators or the regional league coordinators have gone from 2 to 15 people. I mean, they're really working on this LBC program and to get bowlers involved more with bowling and different types of league formats and different lengths, because not everybody wants to bowl 34 weeks or 33 weeks a year. And it's something that Brylow, when they went away from it at first, and everybody, Tom Shannon got, crapped on for that as well. Should at the time. They've learned now that Monday through Thursday, you're not going to get corporate parties and stuff like that to fill your bowling centers. So you get your leagues going, and if you treat them good, they'll stay. And they've learned that now, and they're working on it. And that's part of this whole LBC league certification process.
I just hope it could all work together. I mean, that's I love the USBC. I love the PBA. I've been part of both for my whole life. And, I hope it, somehow it works out for everybody. And, I totally get it. I totally understand this side, that side, what's going on here. And I understand you can have both. So, right? So you can have both, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's part of it, like with Neil Stremmel now. All that stuff that Neil's doing, it's for the top level of the game. Anybody that bowls in a league isn't affected by the new 78 urethane hardness and all that other stuff. They're not bringing that down to their They have their ways of working together. Sometimes it's weird and convoluted how they work together, but they're making it work. Yeah. You don't see Tom Clark and Chad Murphy punching each other's brains out if they're in the same room.
I'd take Tom on that one. Sorry, I'm going to take Tom.
Right there with you. Wait for that cage match like Elon and Zuck. Yeah,
the Facebook guy Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Cage match, Murphy and Clark.
So Lenny, one thing I wanted to ask you, and it's obviously publicized a lot on the normal PBA tour, is they have names of patterns for not only during the week of qualifying, but for when they get on TV. You have the Johnson, Holman, Roth. What do they do for the 50 tour? Do they give you a pattern? Do you know going in what you're going to get? And then how difficult is it compared to the PBA normal patterns?
Well, that I couldn't really tell you. I know that usually the 50 patterns are a little softer for sure, but they're still named the same. Like what are they bowling on this week, the Petraglia pattern, and I think it's the same pattern supposedly, but I'm sure it seems like our scoring pace is a little higher. Phil would probably contest that. Usually, they don't want these guys bowling bad and not showing up. So I remember Mark Sabatini.
It's a fine line on the fifth.
Yeah, Mark Sabatini said at Amaretto, I remember we were rookies, he said, "Why do you make the lane so easy?" He goes, "You see that parking lot out there? The motorhomes won't be here. They'll make them super tough." Yeah. It's a fine. And if we make them really hard, they're not going to show up. And they did that one year. They went to kind of more of a sport certified patterns, and scores went down
before the pandemic.
So they're not easy to think, because you still got the transitions over 8 games, and no matter what they put out there, the best always come to the top usually. It don't matter if it's a shot or if it's a challenging shot. Your Chris Barnes is the big 3-4 out there, Barnes, Hess, and Angelo, I think, and Janowitz obviously is coming up, but them guys are always up there.
Right.
I'm hoping once in a while
Doesn't
I
matter
can
if you
slide
put
in
out
with those guys,
or whatever.
but not that you can't beat them here and there, because I know I can.
Right.
When it's my day, but over the big picture, them guys are a little more youthful and a little more power.
Yeah.
And,
Well, Lenny,
that's stupid.
I think we need to get with Tom Clark and figure out what the Boresch pattern is going to be. That has to be next. Like, what is that going to look like? The Boresch pattern. You're a Hall of Famer. I mean, you should get a pattern at this point.
Absolutely.
Now.
Rick Steele-Smith's got a pattern, right?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Steele-Smith pattern. What would be my pattern?
Yeah,
Phil?
I want a Boresch pattern.
Yeah.
I want to ask Phil. Probably see me bowl more than you guys have. Phil, what would be the distance of my pattern if they named a pattern after me? What would be the?
Oh, geez, it would have to be a little bit on the longer side, like almost like a Petraglia pattern, except
kind of weird because
we'd make sure that you had to fluff it down there'd be a lot of oil in the front, so you had to fluff it down the front. Give it some roll,
because I tend to bowl good on the really short patterns that are really long patterns. So I guess direct angle pattern. That was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get them something where you gotta let the ball. You can't force it through the fronts. You force it through the fronts, it skids all the way past the head pin.
I like it.
Just get the wonder roll that Lenny's got.
We're gonna take this and I'll email it to Clark and be like, start working on the Boresch pattern for next year. I want to see it next year. Lennie Boresch Jr., PBA Hall of Famer, PBA 50 winner this year, of course, of the LBC. We'll see him at Bowling Heaven in Portland, Maine, coming up a little bit later on. What's that? September, right? Coming up next month.
September, airs October 1st. I can't wait for the skin chance to start in the crowd at Bayside.
Oh my Lord,
it's gonna be beautiful.
Oh my God. All right, there he is, Lennie Boresch Jr. Hey man, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure we will talk again, and good luck with the doctor's appointments and everything else you got going on over there.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Lenny.
All right, buddy.